I spent years living all the way in the box, afraid to step out, afraid to truly grab hold of my dream. And now I am breaking through, and I invite you to join me.
Your breakthrough starts now. Coming up on today's show, get ready to be inspired and transformed with our featured guests. Find out what's trending and get advice on life's daily challenges with Erica's top tips of the day. All of this and so much more coming up. So stay tuned. This is your one-stop shop for inspiration. The Erica Latrice Show. And now, here's your host, Erica.
Hello and welcome to today's show. We are talking about compassion, and I'm so excited because I have some fun top tips for you today. My special guest in the Be Inspired Cafe, she wrote this book, Virgil the Hound, and we're talking about how this book helps you to break free from the pack, start seeing compassion in others, and so many other things that are necessary. So if you're watching live right now, I would encourage you to comment, join the conversation, as I'm always telling you, because it pays to be live. It pays to join the conversation. We are about to have an absolute blast talking about all things compassion, getting out of your comfort zone. And my goal with this show is to give you just a burst of inspiration, some encouragement to kickstart your day and start stepping out like never before. So when we come back, I'll be bringing up my special guest in the Be Inspired Cafe and a few other fun things for today's show. I'll be right back. Get ready for all new episodes of the Erica Latrice Show. You can join me weekdays at 2 o'clock Eastern across social media at Erica Empowers. That's Erica spelled like America. If you have a message that you want to share on the show, email us right now at info@ericalatrice.com or visit online at ericalatrice.com/be on the show. All right, welcome back. As promised, my special guest in the Be Inspired Cafe is the author of Virgil the Hound, and we are talking all things compassion and inspiration. So welcome with me on today's show. Terry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Erica?
I am doing amazing, because I love the premise of your book and even some of the ways that we've, connected and talk about how it can apply to real life. So can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you came to write this book, Virgil the Hound?
Well, I was born in New Jersey, and when my parents moved us to California when I was 9 years old, so I hung up my ballet shoes and I got riding boots because there were so many horses all over the place in California, in Southern California at that time, and where our house was. And there was a private road by our house, and my father wouldn't buy me a horse. He told me to go up and find somebody that I could exercise their horses. So I did. And what I found was a stable that fox hunted. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I knew it was just so beautiful. And it is beautiful when you see it in an oil painting. So I ended up fox hunting with the hunt club. And there was one hound in there. His name is Virgil. And he would never go with the pack. He would always go his own way. So I was sent to go get him. And when I did go get him on this one particular day, he refused to come back with me. So he wags his tail and he's looking in behind me. And I just turned around and looked. And what I saw, Erica, it was just mind blowing to me because it was a fox. And I had never seen a fox alive. I'd only seen one that had been torn apart by the hounds. And this animal was so beautiful and she was so petrified that it moved me, and I knew this was not the right thing to do.
That's so interesting, because I find that a lot of times when we're far removed, or when we think that we're far removed from a situation, it's easy to not see like the humanity in something. It's easy to feel like, oh, well, I'm not attached. But there are quite a few things I want to unpack about this story, and even like your experiences that you now help and share around the world. But one of the things that you talk about is breaking away from the pack, and how Virgil decided that day, in many days, to break away and not just do something because because that's what everyone's doing. So I would love for you, if you can speak to that just a bit too, like how is what Virgil did that day something that you think we can apply ourselves to not just go with the flow and not say anything or not care when we actually have the power to do something?
Yes. One of the things, what happened to me actually is I was always an animal lover. My mom is an animal lover to the point that we'd have to catch. Even if it was a black widow, she would name it Morticia, and my brother and I would have to catch it and take it down to the field. You know, we wouldn't kill anything, but at the same time, I was raised on meat, McDonald's hamburgers, pork, you know, anything. You know, there was no limit to what I would eat: fish, chickens, all that stuff. That's the disconnect there. You know, because I never knew a cow, I never knew a pig. You know, and you have to think about it, and then talk about breaking away from the pack. When I became a full-blooded vegan, you know, people in my family started to treat me wrong because it's you know, they think that I'm something nuts about me or something, and you know, but they don't know, and I do know, and so I broke away from the pack in that regard too.
I love it. I love that when you decide on something, sometimes it takes just doing it. I don't eat meat either. I'm not judging anyone out there that eats meat, you know,
Yeah.
teach your own. but
Yeah.
but I can definitely relate to that because I get so many questions around it. So one of the things too that I want to kind of talk about too is having that courage, because there's a story, and I don't want to get like too into it because I haven't done my due diligence to research. But it was interesting because there was a story of a young man bird watching in the park, and I'm seeing like the outrage. People were outraged with how this woman mishandled her own dog, how she was willing to put this other person's life at risk. And that's what I've been talking about, like being compassionate. I love your message because when we start to see ourselves and others, when we start to see the humanity, like I said, then it's a lot easier to understand why that's a problem. So what would you say, like, what's one simple step that people can take to start really to just step outside of themselves and be compassionate and think about other people and animals that are at risk?
Yeah. I think you have to, first of all, if you want to break away from the pack, you just have to be ready that you're going to come up against people that are just going to oppose you no matter what. But you can't let that bother you. You need to do what you think is right. And in terms of, like I was thinking about before, cosmetics there's so many things that animals are tested on. And one of the things that you can do is you can get what's called a cruelty cutter. You can download it on your app on your phone, and you can scan all the different products that you pick up at the food store or the drugstore, and you can see how many of them are actually, tested upon. And I belong to a group called PCRM, which is Physicians for the Compassion of Animals. And what he teaches is that there is no use for having testing on animals, because that doesn't give you real results. So that's one thing that, you can, you're going to break away from the pack. And like I said, sometimes my family thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not. I don't think I'm crazy. That's the only person that has to be thinking that you're crazy. If it's not you, then you're not.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I have so many questions. We're going to take like a short break in a second because there's so much, I feel like I said, that we can unpack and how to apply this to our life. If you see something, you stand up and you say something, even if you don't, even if everyone doesn't agree. And I love that you've taken this stance, Terry, to say, I saw something, it resonated with me, and I'm doing something about it. Even if everyone, everyone's not on board or everyone doesn't understand it, but doing your job to say something about it. What would you say to someone, like to your point, that they're seeing something unfold, they're seeing things happen, but they're not necessarily, and they actually have a conviction to do something about it, but they're not doing something about it. What would you, what's like that first step that maybe that you took when you decided that just knowing it wasn't enough, that you were going to take action?
Well, I think for me, it took, quite a few years. I started thinking, sorry. I started thinking about it, and I just thought this is wrong, and I just started thinking, I'm all right. I'm gonna give up beef. That's what the first thing that I was going to give up, and I did. And then I thought, well, that's an animal, so I should probably give up pork as well. So I did that. And then I was in the veterinarian's office. There was a crow being buffeted around in a parking lot because somebody hit it and his wing was, taken off practically. And everybody was just driving by it. And I just couldn't drive by it. And I can tell you a couple of situations like this. But I took that bird, I caught him, put him in my car, went to the veterinarian, and because I thought it was terrible to see him suffering like that. And then another thing happened at the vet's office. A woman came in and she had a fluffy white bird, and the bird was sitting on her lap. And I said, "What kind of a bird is that?" And she said, "It's a chicken." And I said, "Do chickens make good pets?" Here I am. I thought I was an animal lover, and I didn't know if they made good pets.
Right.
And so she said they make great pets. So right then and there, no more chicken. It was no more chicken. So that's
Yes. So I want to, we're going to take, like I said, a short break. If you're watching live, this is the perfect time to join the conversation. And it's just so ironic because I happened to see this story right before our interview today, Terry, and there's so many things that I've been seeing, and it just like, it grips me in the heart. Like, it's so sad, and not understanding how people, how you just said, can see these things and feel like, okay, it's a problem, but then I don't know how I can do anything about it. And I feel like you're the queen of, I'm going to do something about this. I'm not going to sit and be aware, but I'm going to do something. So we'll be right back in just a second. And when we come back, if you have questions for Terry, now is a great time to comment. If you want to join the conversation, now is a great time to comment. And we'll be back in just a second.
If you're watching this, so are your potential clients. I'm excited to announce an all-new season of the Erica Latrice Show. It's coming up right now, and we're looking for featured guests as well as sponsors. If you want to be a success supporter of this show, connect with our team right now by emailing info@ericalatrice.com to get more information or just support the mission of Be Inspired, to empower and inspire people all around the world with a message of hope and encouragement. Our mission is to bring you uplifting news and talk to encourage and share a platform for those who have a powerful message and looking for a place to share it. If you want to partner with the Erica Latrice Show, you can do so by emailing info@ericalatrice.com or visit ericalatrice.com/sponsor so that you can be a success supporter of this inspirational movement.
Welcome back. So we're talking all things Virgil the Hound and how his actions, you guys, you need to get the book so you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like so beautiful. I'm going to do like a quick, as you can see, like it's really a masterpiece on the inside. But how this story actually affected Terry in her life and how it changed some of the actions that she now takes. So Terry, this is something that I found interesting. And as I said, like I kind of shared this story. You guys can go look at it yourself. I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but I do want to talk about it from the standpoint, like we're talking about today, having compassion. And to wrap up what Terry shared, Virgil was a hound. And when she saw the fox alive, that really pulled at her heartstrings. And that's what helped her to get on the path that she's on. So that's kind of what we're talking about, like finding that compassion, that place of caring. So Terry, what would you say? People are loving it too. They want to know where they can purchase your book. So we'll get to that too. So what would you say? What's the biggest lesson that you've learned now that you've gone from that moment of witnessing Virgil and saying, I'm going to speak up, I'm going to say something when I see something, then I'm going to line up with it. What's like one of those big lessons or maybe like memorable moments that you've had now being on this journey?
Well, my husband was not an animal lover per se. And basically, he just was so against me. And he said that I was ruining his relationship with his family because his stepmother happened to be, she was somebody that I thought was a real animal lover. She was always talking about it, always talking about it. And I thought I maybe would, take a chance and just tell her in the restaurant something nice, but this is something that you have to be very much aware of. And she ordered some kind of a meat dish. I don't know. I think it was pork or loin or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, or lamb. I think it was lamb. And I said, you love animals so much. Maybe you should think about not eating them, And so she said, she was a real survivor because she started to open her mouth and she goes, thanks for telling me that. I needed it. But she wasn't being honest with me, because that's where my husband came in and said, you're ruining my relationship with my family. And you know what? There's just no way I was going to stop.
Right.
Everybody knows that I am a vegan, and I like what you just said earlier. You said, I'm not trying to make anybody do what they don't want to do. And it's just a matter of learning. If you want to learn, if you're concerned about something, you're gonna take it to the next level and the next level after that. And it's not going to matter what people think. I don't care. I have broken away from the pack. That pack of meat eaters is much bigger than vegetarians and vegans, for sure. So they're the pack, and we're the ones that broke away.
Yes. So I would love your thoughts on this too. So how I was sharing, like with the story where the woman, and I don't know if you said you saw it, where she was like choking her dog, and they ended up coming back and taking the dog away, I think right now. But what was even more concerning was how she was treating another human. Like she was willing to just call the whole story. Like there's been so many that I've seen that bothers me, but even with the passion around taking care of animals, what would you say to people that even sit by when they're seeing other humans, like humans being harmed, being mistreated, and they don't say anything or because, like, I love that you just talked about that too, like the fear that, well, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, or I don't want to whatever, so I'm not going to break away from the pack. What are your thoughts on that as well?
Well, I think sometimes that you have to decide whether it's worth it or not in the long run, whether you're going to be hurting somebody else or even hurting, somebody close to you. But it doesn't mean giving up. So, and that's what, just from the inspiration by seeing something that I had never seen before, I try to do that all the time. Like when anything I see something that I think is wrong, I research it, or I talk to somebody about it, and I say, what do you think about this? And I think you just have to always just be careful and not just always going around blowing your horn. You have to think about it. But in the moment, if you see somebody doing something to an animal or another person, then absolutely you have to dive in there and do the best you can, But hopefully not physically, if you should,
Right.
do that, which don't worry, I'm an Italian, so I'm ready to argue anytime somebody wants to argue. But I think you have to think about it. And I think those things that come to you, that you see them, and it makes you think, should I? You don't want to go home and a few days later say, oh, I wish I had done something about that. And like whenever I see it, this is kind of silly, some people might think, when I see an animal dead in the street, a squirrel, a cat that somebody has run over, and I'm driving, I literally pull over, because I don't want that animal to be run over and run over and over and over. And sometimes children see that, and it sets a bad thought when their mother or father can just drive over something. And I respect that animal's death, so I always put it on the side of the road, and make sure it is dead and that sort of thing. I'll give you another quick story if we have time. I read an article about opossums, and the article said, if you see one that has been run over by the car, you should always check and see if the babies are in her pouch. So sure enough, I saw one. I parked my car. It was early in the morning. I picked the opossum up, and sure enough, I opened up her little pouch. she had a whole litter of babies in there that were alive. So I just found out where there was a rescue center for opossums that wasn't very far from me. And I took all of them there, and all of them lived except for one. So that's something, yeah. You just got to do it, instead of just driving by and then thinking later, oh, maybe I should have done something about it, because those opportunities don't always come around.
That's so true. And I think, that's the underlying message right now. I cannot wait to get to the final thoughts today, because that's the underlying message for me today. I'm just seeing all these drawing things and how you just shared. Do, as you said, like, do your research, but there are certain things too. When we see it, it's like, if you see this, do something, stand up for it. Don't just sit by idly. And one of the things that you just said too, I love that you said that, because thinking about children, they're watching. And as you said, do you want the children to just see my mom or my dad? They don't care. And I think a lot of what we see right now with the lack of compassion, or the lack of being able to even like come from the standpoint of caring, it's how we grow up. It's how we're raised. It's how we're taught, generally speaking. So one of the things that we can do too, I'm glad that you said that, is be a different voice now. Like, you can now speak to another generation coming up with what you've learned and with what you see, and you're doing that. So we want to know, how can we get a copy of your book, get connected with you? And if there's like one last tip that you want to share as well.
Let's see. Well, first of all, it's on Amazon. Virgil the Hound is on Amazon, or you can go to my website, which is it's www, the word animal, and then the letters ip.com. You can get it either on my what do you call it? On the computer where I am. And again, that's animalip.com. And that's my website. That's the words that I was trying to remember.
Right. So what is that word?
Yeah, the animals are smarter than me.
Yes. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
So yeah, and I think the takeaway from our conversation, Erica, is that you have to be tough, and you have to be compassionate. You have to be tough, because people are going to push you around and say, "What are you doing?" It's just what the nature of people. That's a bad nature that people have, is if they don't agree with you, then you must be wrong. So instead of like having a conversation about it, or looking into it yourself, or putting like my husband wouldn't walk our dogs until one day I had my back come out or something. And he said, "I don't want to walk the dog." And I go, "You're going to have to do it, honey, because I can't do it." And then you know what? He just fell in love with the dog. And when that dog passed away, we had him put in an urn and everything like that. And my husband was just like crying over it. So if you delve into something, or sometimes it just comes to you, like with my husband, I couldn't walk the dog, so he had to. And so just let things flow over you, and just don't be so harsh to just push it away. Think about it. Do a little research, as I said earlier, and see what's really going on. And if it doesn't touch you, then it's not for you. But if it does, that's when you break away from the pack.
I love it. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to do a quick break. Hopefully Terry can stick around for our final thoughts in just a second, but I'm going to do a quick break, and we will be right back with more good discussion. Thank you so much for sharing that today, Terry. Soar. If you're ready to step out, I'm telling you, you can transform your life in 21 days by taking the 21-day Focus Fast, and you can get that at thefocusfast.com. All right, so welcome back. I'm going to do a quick snippet of an interview that I did, and this is with Jesse, who talked about miracles that he experienced. Now, for the final topic that I want to share on my final thoughts today, I would love you to join the conversation. So take a moment right now. If you're watching live, I want you to fully answer this question and share your thoughts. Terry was just talking about just this whole theme is compassion, caring enough to look into things, caring enough to speak up for things, caring enough even about yourself. You know the famous quote, if you stand for anything, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. That was the Erica remix. But yeah, so thinking about that, what do you stand for? What matters to you? Because I love the resounding message today is that you have a voice. Your voice matters. And I'm feeling a bit more passionate again about this topic because I'm seeing where people have dwindled down things that used to matter, things that would have upset you, things that would have been striking to you. And now we just kind of like see it and it's like, oh well. And it's not just enough to speak up. By not speaking up sometimes, by not saying anything, by not speaking to your children, by not teaching this compassion, it's just being repeated generation after generation after generation because people are failing to look into things and believe what they see. So if you're seeing something, say something. So my special guest, Jesse, that's coming up, I'm going to let you guys hear a snippet of his interview in the Be Inspired Cafe where he talked about angels around him. And this goes right along with our message today because it's about being that angel for someone else, being a voice, being encouragement, being whatever you can be to stand in because you never know who needs you. You never know who needs your voice and who needs you to speak up. So in the Be Inspired Cafe, you're going to hear this quick interview from Jesse, who shares his story of a miracle. I'm so excited to bring to you our special guest today in the Be Inspired Cafe. Jesse, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm just doing great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you. So can you tell us just a little bit about your story? You have a really incredible book and it just fits so much with what we're talking about today, experiencing those miracles. So tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Well, my story is a really long journey that I took. And what happened is when I was 10 years of age, unfortunately, I came down with epilepsy by being hit in the head by playing baseball. And from there on in, from 10 to around 23, I spent most of my life in hospitals, institutions, going into grand mal seizures daily, not expected to live because the grand mal seizures were so severe, they couldn't find a cure, find medications that would control it.
So you're a true, you're a walking, I said that, but you're a walking miracle. Yes. A walking miracle to say that it's been decades. What's that one thing for anyone that comes in contact with you, if you were to say, just that life lesson, that legacy that you would want to leave? What's that big thing that you want people to know?
I really want people to see, to really trust in God. But, I always go by my mentors. Biggest thing that stands in a lot of people's way is fear. But I remember the hearings that I had on Roosevelt when he said the biggest thing to fear is fear itself. The only thing to fear is fear itself. And then I always remember Disney where he said, if you can dream it, you can do it. See, and then I always keep that motto in my head. When Dr. Schuler was on the pulpit, he said, tough times never last, but tough people do. So that stuck with me all those years, and I just wouldn't give up. And today, I'm so grateful for what I've accomplished and what I've done. I'm currently a millionaire, living off of disability from $267 a month. That was my income. And because I turned my life over to God, He gave me a new life. And what happened is the inspiration that I want to do is I want to help others. I want to help others who are in the same scenario, in the same kind of situation, I just want to help someone on that weary road to life. Because again, what I want to do is I want to be a mentor for other people so I can help them along the way, give them a new life, and to never, never give up. Because I always remember that one quote that a winner never quits and a quitter never wins.
That's the quitters never win. That's one of the first quotes that I ever put on a business card that I designed at the age of 12. And I still remember that. That's such a powerful reminder and a message, because a lot of times as we're going through life, we can't always see what's happening down the road. We can't always see how things are working together for our good. And I feel like that's exactly what you just shared. We don't know the end, but if we can wake up every day and show up and trust God in the process, we can look back and have a story like yours that look how far I've come, look how my life has transformed. So for those that want to get connected with you, they want to support you and learn a bit more and get their hands on a copy of your book, what's the best way that we can connect?
Well, my book is Angels from Heaven. It explains all the angels that were sent to me from heaven when I was going on my journey, especially when I went to school in London, England, living on disability. It wasn't easy, but there were a lot of angels sent to me when I was there. And you can get that on Amazon, the Book Depository, Barnes & Noble. Angels from Heaven is, again, the story of my 44-year journey, starting at the Crystal Cathedral when I turned my life over to God. But the angels that were sent to me along the way, that's what really did it for me. It was so hard to do, but I wouldn't give up. And now I'm cured from epilepsy, and I've accomplished almost every goal I had in my life.
Jesse, I want to say thank you so much for taking time out to share your story today, to be in the Be Inspired Cafe today. I wish we could talk for like another hour, because maybe you'll have to come back, because I would love to dig into as well. I've been talking about being what we want from other people. Be the blessing that you're looking for. Be the love that you're waiting for someone else to extend. Go out and be someone else's answered prayer. And I feel like that's really amazing that you've taken time to honor and recognize those angels that have been around you for your journey. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you were wonderful. Thank you.
So I've loved that message, and it really wraps up what we're talking about today. So I want to finish with our final thoughts. And I'm going to bring Terry back up. Now, if ever there was a time for you to comment, now is the time, because all that you got to do is comment, and that's how you can win today's giveaway. So Terry, as we wrap up, just final thoughts of the day. Was there anything that stuck out to you, and maybe like that last quote that you want to leave the audience with?
I'd say don't be afraid to leave the pack and go your own way.
I love it. And I think the resounding message for me, and I said it like so many times today, is look into others and see what you would want. Treat others how you want to be treated. That's the best way that I can sum it up. Treat others how you would want to be treated. And if you see something, say something, and don't be afraid. So speaking of saying something, it pays to say something here on the Erica Latrice Show. Our winner today is Cheryl McCarthy. She will be winning the 21-day Focus Fast Journey. So Cheryl, all you have to do is email me at info@ericalatrice.com. I want to say thank you. Thank you, Terry, for being on the show. Thank you, everyone who tuned in to today's show. You can stay connected with me across social media at Erica Empowers. And I'm telling you, join me weekdays at 2:00 Eastern across social media at Erica Empowers for your daily dose of inspiration, encouragement, and to meet guests like Terry today. Go grab Virgil the Hound. If you have a story that you want to share, you can send that to ericalatrice.com. As I'm always telling you all, go out and make today, not tomorrow, not next week, not the day after. Make today amazing, because it is absolutely a choice. That's all that I have for you. I was checking out the comments. So thank you for participating in today's show. You guys take care.
For more inspiration, visit us online at ericalatrice.com.